good morning on Tuesday, February 14th, 2012.
A very special Valentine's Day edition.
Yeah, Valentine's edition. You're listening to Brian and Gabe live. I am in San Francisco along with Jack Madden, also in San Francisco.
Good morning and good afternoon to those of you not in San Francisco.
Thank you for allowing us to start later. Gabe Knuth, you're joining us from your home in Omaha, Nebraska.
Heyo.
And joining us from his car outside of a Starbucks somewhere in the greater Atlanta area, we're very excited to welcome Kevin Goodman.
Hi, guys. We'll work for food or coffee, as it were.
I was going to start today with, sort of an introduction. Kevin, you've spoken at, 8 BriForums or something like that, and you created RTO Software, created the T-Scale product and licensed that to Citrix. You created a virtual profiles product, which you licensed to both Symantec. You licensed to Symantec, and then you sold the majority of your company outright to VMware, and you joined VMware. I was going to start with all those things, but rather I would like to start with what the hell are you doing in your car outside of Starbucks with your laptop on, I might add.
Yeah, hey, doing well. Big storm last night. Woke up this morning and had no TV, no phone, no internet. That's the problem with getting that one bundle price. Everything went down apparently, and didn't want to take a chance that it wouldn't be back up before I got, had to go on live and talk with you folks. So off to the Starbucks I went.
But now you're running off a battery though too, so we may lose you towards the end here.
Well, I could always walk in. The Starbucks people are eyeing me. I could walk in and get a refill on the latte and then plug in. So, we're good.
If a cop comes and knocks on your window, just push record on your camera, and
just so we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. We so the topic, there's a couple things I want to talk about today. Windows 8 on ARM specifically. I want to know what Jack the hell is doing with BlackBerry tablets. But also, I want to, Kevin, start with you. First of all, there was a rumor on the Twitter last week, Kevin, that you are no longer with VMware.
And the fact that he's living in his car right now outside of a Starbucks, that's...
Yeah, hold on. Let me address that rumor, but hang on one second. Excuse me, sir. Do you have a quarter? Thank you. All right, I'm back. Hey, so I think Ruben Sprite started that rumor. Ruben and I were working on the SmackDown guide. Just I think the beginning of February, and then I left VMware on February 3rd, and there's so many loose ends to tie up. I didn't get a chance to tie up a loose end. That was one of those get the quote approved from me. My quote was, and this is, you've seen the SmackDown guide. Well, yeah. when we were out at VMware, I was out in front of customers. They asked, sure, your salesmen are wonderful salesmen, but you got any third-party confirmation of, how well your stuff does? And I said, hey, I'd start with the SmackDown guide, and at least go from there at the beginning of any, virtualization journey. And so I gave that exact quote to Ruben, and Ruben, because it was going to have my VMware name on there, went to say, hey, do you approve of, your director of product management saying this stuff? And I forgot to get the note out to him that I was leaving. So all of a sudden he's like, Goodman's not there anymore. I heard it directly from VMware corporate. And I watched Twitter just blow up, Yeah. It was nice to get the calls for all the people.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose him? There you go.
Non-compete was 2 years with VMware. And they bought most of the assets of RTO Software back in February of 2010. And for those of you, Brian, I know you were a math major, so that comes out to right on 2 years there, if I'm not mistaken.
Funny how that worked out. Yeah. So now, you live in Atlanta, and so you're back in Atlanta right now. So what's next for you?
Well, short term, when at someone at this level leaves an organization, it's not a clean break. So right now we're still negotiating. So don't ask me to say any bad things about any of my former employers until we finish all that paperwork. But once that paperwork is done, if it doesn't go to my liking, then feel free to, I know where all the bodies are buried. But no, um,
Man, non-working for big company Kevin is so much cooler than working for big company Kevin.
so the truth is, working for in a um, industry that is going this fast at a pace with the competition that you have in virtualization right there, the opportunities that you have, the sense of urgency that you feel in an organization like that will really drive you nuts. And 2 years of being on the road, and of course, Brian's going to play a violin because he flies more than I do, but at 150,000 miles a year on Delta, it gets old pretty quickly. So I'm going to recharge the batteries. You'll see me doing something here soon, but
Didn't you retire
So
once?
it's yet undecided.
Didn't you retire once, like 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
Yeah, so the RTO Software was the second startup that I started. I had another one previously that went public as DocuCore International, and by the time it went public, I had a very, very small piece of it, but it wasn't enough for me to decide that I was going to sit back and recharge the batteries as well. So, and I think during that period is when I wrote the book. Building Windows 95 applications and Windows NT Developer's Guide. And
Oh yeah, of course. That book. Yes.
you can still find that on Amazon if you want. Last time I checked, it was 63 cents used.
But there's a thing. But I mean, I'm saying this is a book that I would not be able to get into the first 3 pages before it's over my head, and I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
So I tell you what, Brian, that a little bit of experience I have back there as a developer is going to play well into our Windows 8 strategy, because I read what Sinofsky said, and I read your take on it. And one of the things that when we get to that subject today, I want to talk about is I think you're missing the developer aspect of what Microsoft's trying to do with their Windows 8 strategy here.
And
On the outset, from looking on the outside, you might think that the concept of having these 2 tablet architectures and stuff like that would be very, very confusing. But if you look at it from another angle, and let's face it, Sinofsky's a developer. He was the guy who first did the Microsoft Foundation class libraries, which was Microsoft's first foray into C++ way back in the, I want to say, early 90s. So, this guy's, pretty long in the tooth and knows what makes Windows, so successful. That, and among other things, hey, Gabe, remember we were trying to decide how many businesses Microsoft had that were over $1 billion?
yeah, it was 7, right? But
It's 12, but one of the ones we forgot was Visual Studio. Visual Studio does $1 billion. So Brian, think about this. All right, let's take all the ISVs today that are doing.
Yeah, $1 billion.
Well, let's take all the ones that are using Visual Studio to write Windows apps.
Yeah.
Okay. They'd have to be paying $1 million each in order for it to get to be $1 billion. So it's got to be somebody else, right? Somebody else got to be buying this product, and who it is buying it at those numbers is internal IT staffs, writing their own internal IT apps, and those are the apps that I. Go ahead.
So it's internal IT staffs, but then didn't we just realize, or Brian, didn't you make the note that it has to be sold through the Windows Store, or apps have to be sold to the Windows Store to be developed to run on ARM-based Windows? And if so much of the applications are being developed in-house, doesn't that kind of cut into their revenue for?
No, because internal companies will be able to have sort of their own private connection into the official Windows Store. and the apps that they put into the Windows Store will only be available to the people they specify. So they can specify.
But it has to be Metro, right? It can't be a desktop app?
So